Okay, so if you've got your Open Flash chart installed, the first thing we're going to do is just try to do the same thing as we did with the tag cloud, but we're going to represent the number of tags as a as a kind of a histogram, a bar chart basically. But in order to do that, well, first of all, I'm just going to create a sort of like an ordinary chart, with fixed preset data, just to show you how the chart concept works. Okay, so what we will need to do this are two files. The first file, which will just be a file to host the Open Flash chart SWF control, and the other one will be a page which will actually produce the data that the Open Flash chart control will actually consume in order to display the graph. So let's just create the page which actually contains the Open Flash chart control. So create a new item, and we're going to call this going to be a web form, an ASPX file. We're going to call it just something like show graph. Okay. So that will create a new page. And in the new page, we've given it an ASPX, but this could just as easily be an HTML file because nothing actually changes. Nothing really changes in it. Okay, what we're going to do is basically put into the page a simple embed tag. Okay, so it's going to be something like this: embed service equals. Now then, here this is where you just put in where your Open Flash chart control is located. So we're going to put in open-flash-chart.swf. Okay. Now then, one of the parameters that it needs to get is its width and height and what data you want in it. So we're just going to question mark width. Damn it, I spelled that wrong. Okay, width equals 800 px, ampersand height equals 500 px. Press the equals wrong way. 500 px, ampersand. Now here's a very important one. Data equals. Now this will be the location of the data file. So I'm going to just call it a file that I have not yet created, but I'm going to create, and I'm just going to call it get chart data.aspx. Okay, so having done all that, that's basically then set up the Open Flash chart control. Okay. However, although we've specified the size that as far as the flash chart needs to, the SWF file needs to know how big it's going to be, but also the HTML page needs to know as well. So let's now add another parameter. Style equals width colon 800 px semicolon height colon 500 px. Px meaning pixels, if you didn't know. Okay, so that's now, and we've set up the embed tag, and that is automatically put in a close embed tag. So that's really us sorted as far as the code is concerned for displaying the page. Now we need to create another file which will actually produce the thing, and as you remember, we called it getChartData.aspx. Now this is our Flash control will be looking for this file, so we need to create the file, and this is going to generate data. Okay, so let's add a new item, and we're going to call it getChartData.aspx, and it's going to be a simple ASPX web page. Now then, as with all the other occasions where we've been using a web form just to generate data, like for example in our RSS pages, we get rid of all of the HTML stuff from out of the page, okay, because this is not important for us. We're only going to be using this as a kind of a mechanism to actually send some data, so we don't actually do any visible HTML stuff in the page. On the other hand, what we need to do is kind of produce the data in a form that Open Flash Chart understands. So let's right click on get chart data. Let's view it in the code. Let's view the code. Okay, now then, here, this is where we're going to, first of all, we're going to put in a simple directive, response dot cache control equals quote no cache. Okay, and what that means is caching is something a web server will do so that if a user's been to a page already, rather than actually making the trip to the server to actually resend all the data, the browser just simply, from its own memory, reproduces a page. But obviously in the case of graphing, we want to show dynamically what is happening to the data. We don't want that sort of thing to happen. So that's just a simple expression of that. Now then, because what we need to do now is put a directive now, imports open flash chart. Okay, so that gives us access programmatically to the open flash chart control. Okay, now I know on the videos that for some reason the IntelliSense doesn't actually appear, as you can't actually see, the kind of suggestions that I will get as I type. But I mean, it does make actually creating graphs very easy. So I'm going to say dim, meaning create, chart as new graph. Okay, graph is an open flash chart object. Okay, and then I'm going to say dim cd as new open flash chart dot charts dot data. Okay, sorry, charts dot chart data. Chart data. Okay, so that's a specific object inside the Open Flash Chart .NET control, which allows us to easily create the data. So first of all, we're going to specify something about this. So we could say cd equals new Open Flash Chart .charts .bar. Okay, now then, here we can spec the parameters. So the alpha is basically the level of transparency. Okay, so alpha between 0 and 100 represents the level of transparency. So let's make it 75 for now. Okay, oh damn, I put it in the wrong place. So let's just say 75. Okay, it's going to be 75% transparent. The next parameter is the color, and so here we just type in quote, and this is, you can't write the typical color.red that we typically do in ASP.NET. Here we have to kind of put in quotes a kind of typical HTML style color, so which is basically hash symbol followed by hexadecimal for the first color, 2 hexadecimal numbers for the first color, 2 for the second, 2 for the third. So if we wanted to make red, we'd say FF0000, meaning red is maximum, FF255. Green is 0, blue is 0. If, however, we wanted the chart to be grey, we might make it something like AA, meaning make it quite high red, AA quite high green, AA quite high blue. Okay, so these are the kind of the mechanisms we can use. Okay. So that's the colour of the bar. Okay, so yeah, I'll keep that. Why not? I'll keep the bar that colour. Okay. Next colon is text as string. Text is just going to be the text that appears by the bars. I think I can't quite remember actually. So anyway, and then finally size as integer. Again, I cannot remember that, so I'm just going to type in the number 2. But assure me it does actually work. And what we can do is we can see at the end what it will actually look like. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just do a simple days of the week. I'm just going to add days of the week to the labels. Okay, so I'm going to say something like chart dot labels x dot add. Now labels x is a collection. So what we have to do now is add all the kind of the things that will appear underneath the bar to represent what the bar stands for in the flash chart. So let's just create add Monday. We're just going to do the days of the week here. Okay, so let's just copy and paste to actually do all the other days of the week. Okay, so this will be so these will be the 7 days of the week, and I'm just going to type them out. and I'll try to do this as quickly as possible. Then I type in. So this is essentially setting all the labels that appear under the histogram. Okay, under the histogram bars, essentially. So now, and finally Sunday. Okay. Be careful not to kind of remove any quotation marks, as you see there. So basically, I've added all my charts. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create numbers for each. I'm going to go from 0 to from 10 to 70. So I'm going to say, first one, now we need to say chart dot max y equals 70. Okay. Now all of this stuff, as I say, you're given suggestions by the IntelliSense to help you fill those out, and so it shouldn't be too difficult to do that. So now let's now then all we're going to now know is fill out the CD data, cd.data.add. Now what these data figures are kind of like the corresponding values which go to the labels. Okay, so since we've added those labels, basically from these would be the first, the second, the third. Then correspondingly, if we just now add in numbers 10 and 20, there will be 20 eventually. So I'm just going to copy and paste 7 of these. Okay, so 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. Okay, and then once you've done that, now we've created that. Now we're going to add this data structure, CD data, to the graph. So we say chart data, okay, dot add CD. Okay. Remember, that might seem a bit weird. The CD, you see, is not actually connected to the graph. It's just a kind of like a utility function which comes with a utility structure. Which comes with the Open Flash chart control. Okay, but the chart is the thing which will actually display this thing here. So anything we do, these are, if you like, are just filling up this data structure called CD data, sort of CD. But we've got to kind of manually add it into the chart before it becomes a visible thing. I suppose it's analogous in a way to kind of like those kind of when we're creating tables, we say, controls add, and unless you do the controls add, any kind of other thing that you've created won't be viewable until it's added into the parent control. Okay. So anyway, that's the done, and now we're going to just write a simple response dot write, and then it's going to be just chart dot to string. Okay, now then, so that will then create, hopefully, the data that the Flash control can hopefully display. So let's just go back over again. So we've created 2 files. One file called showgraph.aspx. Showgraph.aspx is simply a container which holds the Open Flash chart control, takes 3 parameters, width, height, and the data, where it's going to get the data from. Okay, getChartData.aspx. Now then, getChartData.aspx basically is completely empty, except it's got a code behind which uses the Open Flash chart .NET control, version 1 of the .NET control, to generate the data that SWF object will consume. Okay, so let's just have a quick look now. Does this actually work? So we click on a show graph. Okay, there's show graph. We're going to run it. It's a while since I've last used it, so unfortunately I think I'm going to be asked to log in again. Okay, no, so here we go. As per usual, it's going to take a bit of a while to appear. Okay, so let me just move the browser so you can see it. Okay, what should appear then is the SWF control on the page, and it's reading the data, well, should be reading the data, in order to display it as a histogram. Okay, so as per usual, it's a bit slow when you first log in, and And here it comes. So it says it's loading the data, and there you see. There you see what has happened is that so it's gone from 0 to 70. Sunday is the maximum with 70, Saturday with 60, Friday with 50, Thursday with 40, Wednesday with Thursday, Tuesday 20, Monday 10. So that's what that page looks like. So now we've shown we can actually generate a nice looking graph with the data. Let's just quickly go while we're here to kind of like that get chart data page. What does it actually look like? The data that this graph is actually showing. So I'm going to type in get chart data.aspx. Okay. What you see now is this is the data that this thing is consuming. Okay. So x-axis steps 5, y ticks 5, 10, 5. Y ticks is essentially that's saying that you're going to have a thin line every 5, a thick line every 10. So it basically allows people to understand. So these are, if you like, default values that have been put in. Okay, there's the labels. Okay, and there are the values. So as you see, what our open flash chart control allows us to do is to have a nice, easy programming interface to generating this sort of data, which is what the open flash chart control actually takes to actually show it. And as you see, look, oh, I can't see the thin line, unfortunately. So, like, but as you see, you're getting a line every one of these kind of 5 points. I don't quite know the precise logic that's going on here, but anyway, as you see, it's a nice and easy way to generate a graph. Okay, so now we've shown the logic of how we create the graph. The next thing I'm going to do now is try to use it to display what we've previously done is the tags in the database.